You know, it's kind of funny, I actually forget how much I enjoy this stuff. I haven't read the comics in a long time. And it's only like one of the best games ever made.
Yeah, people have been waiting for a new one for about 13 years now. So it's kind of been through 2 canceled games, 3 different companies at this point, and now it's finally getting made.
Well, I mean, the cool part is really it's like all the guys from the Telltale gang is like basically like former LucasArts guys who created the old games.
Right.
Why, hello.
Welcome to Telltale. Sam & Max Season 1 is the return of Sam & Max, coming out episodically this fall, starting in October, and then running monthly from December until April. We're really psyched. We got 6 new episodes coming out. Each episode has its own twist, and it's all standalone, but there's an overarching story to it as well. So we really want to get people into it and have them stay sucked in like they would any great series.
It's episodic, which, you know, we're starting to see more of, especially from you guys, but it's like an hour and a half or so for each episode. It's not, you know, a big chunk of time. It's a short little chunk that you get once a month. Then, like, between that, you get little, like, machinima-style clips that show you where the story's going and stuff like that. So it's a very continuous experience, right?
Yeah, it's definitely, we see it as a major evolution in that it's going to give people a steady flow of new content to them in smaller chunks than a 60-hour chunk coming every 3 years or whatever it might be, or an 8-hour chunk for that matter. Right. So it's definitely a little shift, but we think the time is right for it, especially as gamers become more diverse and not everybody is locked into their machine all day long.
So yeah, I mean, for anyone who's never played Sam & Max before, one of the coolest parts is just how kind of off the wall it is. I mean, every frame is like almost like a Dali painting, just like all kind of trippy with stuff that you don't expect to see there.
Yep. Sam.
You think actually, it's like Sam Spade meets McGruff.
Right. He's sort of like this pseudo-intellectual canine investigator. And then his partner, Max, is kind of a psychotic rabbit thing.
A psychotic lagomorph. It's like on Ritalin.
A force for chaos.
I don't know how, like, Max is basically the id who just kind of runs around and does anything he wants in the game, and like he wants to chew on a desk, he'll do it. He wants to like stab somebody, he'll do it. And Sam's kind of like, I wouldn't say a voice of relative reason, I guess.
Well, relatively, yeah. I mean.
Here's Dave Bogan, our art director. He's got some Max animations playing.
We're just getting started on building up the acting animations for Max here. Right now he's got some eyebrow stuff on there. He looks pretty cheesed, but come on, just let me kill him.
Yeah.
That's it. We'll have the capability of layering facial stuff over top of that to give him different emotions. That's very Max.
That's when he's fed up.
So yeah, that's just a few. I want to pull in as much of the grease and the dirt and the grit from Steve's comics as we can, and that will help it separate, from the other Sam & Max games that have already been done. So these are just that's a work in progress. We don't know if she's going to be used yet.
Be on there.
So if she's not in episode 1, she might show up later, but she also might be this woman here. We haven't decided which direction we're going in.
Yes. That's what I call the Rodney Dangerfield.
I like to include Steve Purcell in all of this. So I was trying to grab him today when he was here, but that didn't work. This guy's the storekeeper right here. He makes crazy products out of salad tossers and garlic balls or whatever. I don't know. Nice. This guy's more of our villain character in the game. He houses a therapy house for former child stars. This is a good example of kind of the evolution of a character that we would go through and the feedback that we get from Steve. It started out, this was the initial idea, a more, matronly like character, a motherly character.
Mm-hmm. This is the therapist / tattoo artist.
That's right, yeah. And so Steve, since we were thinking of using this character in multiple episodes, Steve thought it was important that it be a really appealing character. Mm. So we decided to take a different approach with her. This was the initial one. And then Steve came back with this amazing drawing. She's like she's into different cultures, and she's a very cultured person. She likes doing different things. So I kind of like the uniform from before, so I tried it with that, and bringing back the tattoos on the arms to show her kind of history and her different professions. Mm-hmm. And then Steve kind of vetoed that, and he's like, nope, this is what we're doing. So I did another one, and there's just different color variations, and this is a good example of how particular he can be. He's like, nope, the hair's not dark enough. Here it is. So.
And she's actually Max's therapist at some point, right?
She's going to be Sam's therapist.
Sam's,
I think,
okay.
At some point, yeah.
How does that come about? Can we say, or is it hidden?
We don't really know yet. We just know that it's a potential idea that we can really work in the later episodes. So
the one thing that sounded kind of cool was how they have the monthly episodic content. So it's probably the first true episodic content out there, as opposed to having to wait 6 months for
episodic Half-Life.
Exactly. But I mean, like, they also have like these weekly interstitials. So they have like like in the old G.I. Joe cartoons, they'd have like the knowing's half the battle, Yo Joe kind of stuff.
Right.
They're gonna have like these sorts of things for Sam Max as well.
Right. So on the off weeks.
How to be a freelance police or something like that.
Pretty much, it's kind of like machinima content to keep you satisfied between episodes.
I am the CTO, so I make the technology that runs Sam & Max and all of Telltale's games.
Right. Was there any big tech accomplishment you guys needed to get done for Sam & Max in particular?
Yeah, the monthly releases is huge.
Streamline that process.
So yeah, it's all production process. It's a lot of not so many things that you see while you're playing the game, but an awful lot of things you see while you're making the game. Mm-hmm. That allows us to make the games really fast and make sure that they're still fun and funny and all the Sam & Max stuff.
We actually were Steve Purcell, the creator of the series, agreed to do an original cover for us, and we expected maybe one idea, whatever. He went crazy and drew out 4 awesome pictures, and I wish we could have used them all in the magazine. It's probably one of the most classic graphic adventure games I remember playing. I mean, between that, Grim Fandango, and a select few others, I mean, that's up there on my favorites list.
We were going over the design the other day, and I looked at Brendan and Dave, who were writing it, and said, what is the last time on Sam & Max say that leads into this, and what's the next one going to say? So we're definitely thinking about keeping it continuous, but leaving people off on a point where they're interested and want to hear more about whatever the last reveal was. Mm-hmm. Or if a new character that was introduced, what's going to happen to them in the next episode. So it's much more character focused and character evolution focused, and I think that's really the key to this, is that you want to know what's happening with Sam & Max and what's happening with the people they meet, and you want to see more of them.
Can you give us a brief 2-line synopsis of what the first Sam & Max episode will have story-wise?
Well, it will involve child stars gone awry. It will involve hypnosis, and it'll involve Sam & Max figuring out what the heck's going on, and it'll just all grow from there.